The Great Hall on Sanctum Prime had seen many important meetings over thousands of years. Today, representatives from 47 different species sat in their special seats, each one designed for their unique bodies. Some breathed oxygen, others needed different gases. Some had scales, others had fur or skin, but all of them were quiet as Elder Tesseract stood to speak. Tesseract was a Velen, one of the oldest species in the galaxy. His people had watched civilizations rise and fall for 12,000 years. When a Velen spoke about danger, even the proudest warriors listened carefully. "We need to talk about the humans," Tesseract said. His voice came through translators so everyone could understand. "We have watched them for 300 years. They started with one planet. Now they have 47 colony worlds. They build weapons we do not fully understand, but the weapons are not what worries me most." Ambassador Krell from the Xanthari Empire made a loud noise that sounded like laughter. The Xanthari looked like giant reptiles and were known across the galaxy for their powerful military. Krell did not seem worried at all. "You fear one young species?" Krell asked. "They have been in space for only 300 years. We have been exploring the stars for 5,000 years. Their biggest ship carries only 2,000 crew members. They have no special mental powers. They cannot jump through space like some species can. Why should we fear them?" Tesseract looked at Krell with his old wise eyes. "You do not understand what makes them dangerous. Humans do not fight like we do. They do not give up when they should. They do not follow the normal rules of war. We have studied everything about them, especially their history." The Elder pressed a button and images appeared in the air above the assembly. Pictures from Earth, the human homeworld. Pictures of their past, their wars, their struggles. "Look at what they have done," Tesseract continued. "On their world, they took wolves, animals that could kill them easily, and made them into friends. They call them dogs now. Humans climbed the highest mountains on their planet, mountains that could kill them just because the mountains were there. They split atoms to release enormous energy before they even had proper spaceships. When their first space stations failed and their people died, they built new ones and tried again. That just proves they are foolish," Krell said. "Foolish species do not last long against trained armies." "No," Tesseract said firmly. "They are not foolish. They are relentless. There is a big difference. When a disease tried to wipe them out, they infected themselves with weak versions of it to build immunity. When they face a problem, they do not stop until they solve it or they die trying. Usually they solve it." The Elder brought up more images. These showed human technology, human cities, human ships. "I am proposing something important. We should mark all human territory as protected space. No one should claim their worlds. No one should fight with them. No one should bother them except for simple trade. Let them grow naturally. Give them space. Do not make them angry." The hall erupted in noise. Many species started talking at once. Some agreed with Tesseract. Others thought he was being too careful. The Xanthari delegation laughed openly. Krell stood up again. "The great Velen are afraid of children playing with spaceships," Krell said mockingly. "The Xanthari Empire did not conquer 40 star systems by running away from every new species we meet. I vote against this proposal." But the older species, the ones who had seen empires fall and civilizations end, nodded their heads slowly. They understood what Tesseract was saying. They had learned that sometimes the most dangerous enemies were not the biggest or the strongest, but the ones who never stopped fighting. The vote took 2 hours. When it finished, the proposal passed, but just barely. 24 species voted yes, 23 voted no. Human territory would be respected. Their borders would be recognized. Other species would stay away from their space. The meeting ended and everyone started leaving. But Krell was angry. He walked back to his ship with his second-in-command, Commander Vex. "The council is full of cowards," Krell said. "They see shadows and call them monsters. The humans are weak. Someone needs to prove it." "What do you want to do?" Vex asked. "We will test these humans," Krell said. His eyes showed his plans. "We will attack one small colony. We will take it quickly, steal what we want, and leave. Then the council will see that humans are no different from any other weak species. They will see that the Xanthari Empire was right. Which colony should we attack?" Krell looked at his data screen. "There is a farming world called New Haven. It has 60,000 people, mostly farmers. They have very few weapons, very few soldiers. We can take it in one day." Vex nodded and left to prepare the attack. Neither of them knew that their conversation had been recorded. A small listening device on their ship had caught every word. The recording was sent through 3 different relay stations to hide where it came from. Finally, it arrived at the human diplomatic office on Sanctum Prime. Director Paul Graham read the message twice. His face became dark and serious. Paul had been a soldier for 20 years before becoming a diplomat. He knew what was coming. He also knew his warning would arrive too late to save everyone on New Haven. He opened an emergency channel to Earth Command. "Sir, we have a problem. The Xanthari are planning to attack New Haven. They will arrive in 7 days. I am sending you all the information now." The answer came back quickly. Message received. "Our defense fleet is too far away. They cannot get there in time. New Haven has been warned. We are sending ships from Centauri Station, but they will take 12 days to arrive." Paul closed his eyes. New Haven only had 200 soldiers and a few defense platforms designed to stop pirates, not military warships. 60,000 farmers and their families would have to face the Xanthari Empire almost alone. "Understood," Paul replied. "I recommend we prepare a strong response after the attack. If they are testing us, we need to show them they made a mistake." "We agree." "Paul, you know what this means, right?" "Yes, sir. It means the elders were right to warn them, and now someone is going to learn why the hard way." Far away on New Haven, families were eating dinner, children were playing, and farmers were planning next season's crops. They did not know that in 7 days, their peaceful world would become the place where the galaxy learned an important lesson about humanity. The elders had warned everyone not to provoke the humans. Ambassador Krell had not listened. Soon everyone would understand why that was a terrible mistake. New Haven was a beautiful world. It had 3 large land masses covered in farms and small towns. The local sun was orange instead of yellow, making the wheat fields look golden even in the morning. Earth cows walked around in the lighter gravity, seeming happy in their new home. The colony had been there for 30 years, growing from a few temporary buildings into a real community with schools, hospitals, and farms that fed other human colonies. Captain Linda Martinez was in charge of the garrison, the small military force that protected the colony. She had 200 soldiers who trained hard and kept their equipment in perfect condition. They hoped they would never need to fight. When the emergency message arrived, Linda had 90 minutes to get ready. "Get all civilians to the shelters," she ordered. Her voice was calm even though she was scared. "Soldiers, get your weapons and armor. Turn on all the defense platforms. Connect all the targeting computers. Someone get the governor on the line right now." Governor Henry Blake arrived at the military command center in 10 minutes. He was still wearing his farming clothes. "Captain, what is happening? People are asking questions I cannot answer." "Xanthari battle group coming here," Linda said. 3 big warships and smaller support ships. They will be close enough to attack in 82 minutes. She showed him a map with lights showing where the enemy ships were. "Sir, I need you to help get everyone to the underground shelters. We have room for everyone if we pack them close together." Henry nodded. "We have practiced this. We will be ready." He stopped at the door. "Captain, how bad is this?" Linda looked him in the eyes. "Honestly, sir, we do not have enough soldiers or weapons. But they are going to learn that humans do not give up easily." The Xanthari ships appeared right on time, dropping out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. 3 beautiful warships arranged in a triangle pattern. Their weapons were already charging. Commander Vex looked at New Haven's defenses and almost laughed. 6 defense platforms, maybe 7. Old railgun weapons. 1 attack would destroy them all. "Send them a message," Ambassador Krell ordered. "Let us be polite before we take what we want." The communication screen showed Captain Linda in full armor. "This is New Haven Colonial Defense. You are in human space illegally. Leave now or face the consequences." Krell laughed so hard his whole body shook. "Consequences? You have 200 primitives and some old platforms. We have 3 warships and 2,000 trained warriors. I am being nice today, human. Leave your colony. You have 1 hour. After that, we take this world for the Xanthari Empire." "Counteroffer," Linda said coldly. "You have 60 seconds to turn your ships around. After that, we will turn your ships into floating garbage. Any survivors will stand trial for attacking humanity." The screen went dark. Krell stopped laughing. "Destroy those platforms. Get the landing forces ready." What happened next would be taught in military schools for years. The defense platforms were not old or weak. They had been secretly upgraded. When the Xanthari ships came close enough, all 6 platforms fired at the same time, but they did not shoot at the ships. They shot at specific points in space where construction debris had been carefully positioned over the past few months. The railgun bullets, moving at incredible speed, hit the debris and turned it into thousands of small pieces flying in all directions. It was like a giant shotgun blast in space. The metal fragments hit the Xanthari ships from all sides at once. Shields flashed and started to fail. The right warship took terrible damage to its engines. Air rushed out into space and the ship started tumbling out of control. The other two ships survived, but their shields were badly damaged. "Impossible," Commander Vex whispered. "They used space debris as a weapon multiplier." "Fire back," Krell shouted. "Destroy those platforms." But the platforms were moving now, small rockets pushing them into unpredictable patterns. The Xanthari had to recalculate their targeting every few seconds, wasting time. Meanwhile, the platforms kept shooting, each shot carefully planned to cause maximum damage. On the ground, Linda watched the space battle on her screens. "They are learning faster than we hoped. Get the surface batteries ready." "Ma'am, the surface batteries are just modified mining equipment, which means they will never expect it. Fire when I give the order." The Xanthari thought the mining equipment scattered across New Haven was turned off. The workers evacuated. They were half right. The workers were gone. But the massive industrial lasers used to cut through rock had been retargeted. When Linda gave the order, 6 powerful beams shot into space. They did not aim at the warships. They aimed at the troop carriers still attached to the ships. Explosions bloomed in orbit like deadly flowers. Troop carriers exploded, damaging the warship hulls they were attached to. The Xanthari had planned to land 2,000 warriors. Now they had maybe 800 left, scattered across 3 damaged ships. Krell finally lost his temper. "How are they doing this? They are supposed to be weak." Commander Vex studied his screens with new respect. "Sir, they are fighting like prey animals that evolved alongside predators. Every action serves multiple purposes. Every weapon does more than its original job. They are not trying to destroy us completely. They are trying to make winning cost too much. Then we will make them pay. All ships charge my weapons. Turn their colony into melted glass." But as the warships prepared their biggest weapons, a new ship appeared on sensors. A human colony transport came from behind New Haven's largest moon. It was unarmed, slow, and completely normal except for one thing. It was flying directly at the damaged Xanthari warship, and it was speeding up. "They would not dare," Krell said quietly. The transport's identification came through. New Haven's Hope, Captain Peter Clark. A communication channel opened showing a middle-aged man sitting calmly in the pilot's seat. "This is Captain Clark to Xanthari forces. I have got 200 refugees on board who did not make it to the shelters in time. You want to attack my home? You will have to go through us first." It was a lie. The transport was empty except for Clark and a few volunteers. But the Xanthari sensors could not see through the heavily shielded cargo areas designed to protect colonists during space travel. From their view, destroying the transport meant killing civilians. That would make every species in the galaxy their enemy. Krell faced an impossible choice. Leave and look weak or kill civilians and become a war criminal. His jaw clenched in anger. "Commander Vex, plot a course out of here." "Sir, do it now." "We are leaving." The 3 Xanthari warships, 2 damaged and 1 crippled, turned and ran toward faster-than-light jump points. As they disappeared, cheering erupted from New Haven's garrison. Linda allowed herself one moment of relief before opening all channels. "All units report damage. Medical teams to the shelters. Someone bring Captain Clark back before he does something else crazy." Henry appeared next to her, his face pale but steady. "We held them off." "We did," Linda agreed. "But they will come back or someone else will try. We sent a message today, but I think the galaxy is going to want to test if we can do it again." Neither of them knew that the entire battle had been recorded by hidden observation drones placed by human intelligence weeks ago. The recordings were already traveling to Earth, where military planners would study every second and prepare for what came next. The elders had warned them. The Xanthari had not listened. Now humanity would make sure everyone understood why that was a mistake. The recordings from New Haven arrived at Earth Command in 18 hours. Within a day, military leaders had watched them, discussed them, and shown them to the Human Colonial Council. Within 36 hours, they had made a decision that would change everything in the galaxy. Admiral Karen West stood in front of the council chamber. She had been wearing her uniform for 16 hours straight. The holographic screens around her showed every moment of the New Haven battle. frozen at important points. "Members of the council," she began. "The attack on New Haven was a test of our will. The Xanthari thought we would run away or be easily defeated. They were wrong. But now we must decide how to respond." Counselor Marcus Cole leaned forward in his seat. "Admiral, what choices do we have?" "We have 3 realistic options," Karen said, showing new tactical displays. "Option 1 is file a complaint with the Galactic Council, demand payment for damages, and make our border defenses stronger. This is the diplomatic approach." "And the Xanthari will think we are weak," Counselor Janet Liu interrupted. "They will wait a few years and try again. Or worse, other species will see us as easy targets." "I agree," Karen said. "Option 2 is we attack a Xanthari military base of equal value. We destroy one of their border outposts, make our point, and leave. This shows we can fight back without starting a full war." "What is option 3? Marcus asked. Karen's face became hard as stone. "We accept that this is the beginning of a war that was always coming, and we fight it on our terms. We find the exact ships and commanders that attacked New Haven. We hunt them down. We make absolutely certain that every species in the galaxy understands what happens when you attack human civilians." The room became very quiet. Finally, Counselor Raymond Harris, the oldest member, spoke. "Admiral, you want to start a war over a failed raid where we lost very few people?" "No, sir. I want to finish a war that the Xanthari started. They chose New Haven because they thought it was weak. They attacked our civilians because they thought we would not respond properly. Every report we have says this was meant to be the first of many raids. They planned to attack our colonies one by one until we either gave up or overreacted and gave them a reason for a bigger war." "So we give them the war they wanted?" Raymond asked. "We give them the war they feared," Karen corrected. "The one the elders warned them about. The one where humans show exactly why we should never be provoked." The vote was close. 7 counselors voted yes, 5 voted no. Karen got her authorization and immediately called her senior commanders. Fleet Admiral Christopher Hunt commanded the 5th Fleet, humanity's newest and most powerful naval force. At its center was the carrier Enterprise with 6 heavy cruisers, 12 destroyers, and supply ships that could keep the fleet going for 6 months. Within 2 days of the Council's decision, the 5th Fleet left Europa and headed for Xanthari space. Meanwhile, Intelligence Director Paul Graham worked with spies across the galaxy. The same network that warned about the New Haven attack now worked to find exactly where Ambassador Krell's ships were hiding. The information came 3 days later. The Xanthari ships had gone to a military station in the Kepler 442 system, deep inside their own territory. They were making repairs and, according to intercepted messages, getting ready to attack New Haven again with more ships. Christopher studied the reports in his office aboard Enterprise. His second-in-command, Commander Nicole Palmer, sat across from him. "It is a trap," Nicole said. "They know we intercepted their messages. They want us to attack a fortified base in their own space." "Probably," Christopher agreed. "But that does not change our orders. We need to send a message, and the message needs to be crystal clear. So how do we hit a military station without losing half our ships?" Christopher smiled grimly. "We do what humans do best. We improvise." The 5th Fleet entered the Kepler 442 system 4 days later, but not the way the Xanthari expected. Instead of coming in one group, the fleet split into 3 groups approaching from different directions. The carrier Enterprise stayed far outside the system, launching small fighters that would approach slowly, almost invisible to sensors. The Xanthari military station called Outpost Vengeance was indeed a fortress. 50 weapons platforms, multiple warships getting repairs, and 10,000 warriors ready to fight. Its commander, General Thex, watched the approaching human ships with satisfaction. "They split their forces," he said. "Foolish. We will destroy each group one at a time." But as the Xanthari fleet moved to fight the nearest human group, the real attack began. The small fighters launched from Enterprise had spent 2 days slowly moving through the system, hiding behind debris and asteroids. Now they activated, swarming the station from 30 different angles at once. Each fighter carried one weapon, a modified mining charge designed to punch through asteroid rock. Against military shields, they were almost useless. But the pilots did not target the shields. They targeted the docking clamps holding the Xanthari warships to the station. Explosions rippled across Outpost Vengeance. Clamps broke and warships drifted free, their crews scrambling to turn on emergency systems. Some ships crashed into the station itself, causing more failures. Others tumbled helplessly, unable to move with damaged connections. While the Xanthari struggled to restore order, the three human groups came together, showing their true strength. They had not split their forces. They had created a three-dimensional trap with the station in the center. All ships, Christopher ordered. You are free to fire. Focus on their shield generators. The Fifth Fleet opened fire with every weapon. Railguns, missiles, energy weapons, and experimental plasma cannons that had never been tested in real combat. The station's shields held for about 45 seconds before they completely collapsed. Stop firing, Christopher commanded. Contact the station. General Thex's face appeared on the screen, smoke visible behind him. You attack a military base in sovereign Xanthari space. This is an act of war. No, Christopher replied calmly. This is a response to your act of war against New Haven. We can keep fighting and turn your station into scrap metal, or you can surrender and we will leave. But understand this. The ships that attacked New Haven are here and they are not leaving with you. You would destroy us over a failed raid on a farming colony? We would destroy you to make it clear that humanity protects its own. You chose to test our will. Now you are learning the price of that choice. Thex's face twisted with rage and calculation. Finally, he spoke. What are your terms? Surrender the 3 warships that attacked New Haven, including all crew and commanders. They will face trial for crimes against humanity. Everyone else can leave. You have 5 minutes to decide. The channel closed. Nicole turned to Christopher. Will he accept? He has to. His shields are down, his warships are disabled, and we have overwhelming firepower. The only question is whether his pride will get him killed first. 4 minutes later, the answer came. We accept your terms. But know this, human. The Empire will not forget this humiliation. Good, Christopher replied. That is exactly the point. The transfer of prisoners took 6 hours. Ambassador Krell and his commanders were brought onto Enterprise in chains, their faces showing fury and disbelief. The damaged warships were taken in tow, bound for human engineers who wanted to study Xanthari technology. As the Fifth Fleet prepared to leave, Christopher authorized one final message, broadcast on all channels to every listening post in the sector. This is Fleet Admiral Christopher Hunt of the Human Colonial Defense Force. The ships and people responsible for the unprovoked attack on New Haven Colony are now in human custody and will face justice. Let this be a warning to all species. Humanity seeks peace, but we will respond to aggression with overwhelming force. The elders warned you not to provoke us. We suggest you listen. The message reached Sanctum Prime in hours. Elder Tesseract listened to it 3 times. Finally, he called the Galactic Council to an emergency meeting. The humans have responded, he announced. Not with protests or negotiations, but with precise military action deep in Xanthari space. They took the exact individuals responsible for attacking their colony and left the rest of the Xanthari forces alone. This is not reckless behavior. This is the action of a species that knows exactly how to use force for political effect. The Xanthari's new representative stood to speak. The Empire demands the Council condemn this violation of our space. The Council warned you, Tesseract replied simply. We told you not to provoke the humans. You chose to ignore that warning. Now you live with the results. The vote to condemn humanity failed badly. 42 species refused to vote, 3 voted to condemn, and 2 voted to say humanity's response was justified self-defense. Back on Earth, Admiral Karen smiled quietly as she read the reports. The message had been sent, received, and understood. But she knew this was not the end. It was just the beginning. The trial of Ambassador Krell and his commanders became the most watched event in galactic history. Humanity built a special tribunal facility on Titan, a moon orbiting Saturn. The location was chosen carefully, close enough to Earth to show human authority, but in the Sol system where any species could send observers without violating territorial claims. Chief Justice Margaret Hayes led the proceedings. She had experience as both a military prosecutor and civilian judge, making her perfect for such a politically sensitive case. The courtroom was designed to hold representatives from 40 different species, each needing different environmental conditions. This tribunal is now in session, Margaret announced. Her voice was calm and authoritative. The defendants are charged with acts of war against civilian targets, attempted genocide, and violations of the Sanctum Accords regarding protected populations. How do the defendants plead? Ambassador Krell stood up. His translator turned his clicking sounds into standard speech. "We plead not guilty. We acted within the rights of the Xanthari Empire to claim resources in contested space." "New Haven was not contested space," replied Prosecutor Colonel Sean Murphy, standing from his seat. "It was a legally established human colony, recognized by the Galactic Council, and protected under the same Sanctum Accords you now claim to have followed. The prosecution will prove that this attack was planned in advance, unprovoked, and designed specifically to target civilians." The next 2 weeks showed careful presentation of evidence. Every communication, every tactical decision, every order given during the attack was revealed. Human intelligence had been thorough. They had recordings from inside Xanthari ships, intercepted orders, and personal logs from several officers. The galactic observers watched with growing concern. But it was not just the evidence that disturbed them. It was the method. Humans did not simply show facts. They told stories. They showed images of families hiding underground on New Haven. They played recordings of Captain Linda's steady voice as she prepared her small force to face overwhelming odds. They displayed calculations showing that Captain Peter's transport bluff had saved 60,000 lives. On the 5th day, a surprise witness appeared. Elder Thessarak himself testified remotely from Sanctum Prime. "The Velen Dominion," he stated, "warned the Council explicitly about the danger of provoking humanity. We did so not because humans are uniquely aggressive, but because they are uniquely persistent. Most species fight until logic says to surrender. Humans fight until they win, or until there is nothing left to fight with." Ambassador Krell was warned. He chose to proceed anyway. The testimony from the elder carried enormous weight. Even the Xanthari observers in the gallery shifted uncomfortably. On the 10th day, the defense presented its case. Attorney General Vix, a famous Qualian lawyer known for defending impossible cases, argued that the attack on New Haven was a legitimate attempt to claim resources in a rapidly expanding region of space. The humans, Vix argued, have expanded at an unprecedented rate. In 300 years, they have claimed more territory than some species acquire in 3,000 years. The Xanthari merely sought to establish their own claim in a region they viewed as available. Colonel Sean's cross-examination was devastating. "You claim the territory was available. Please explain to the tribunal how a colony with 60,000 registered inhabitants, multiple orbital installations, and formal recognition by the Galactic Council qualifies as available territory. The Council's recognition is not binding on all species. The Xanthari Empire signed the Sanctum Accords. Are you arguing that your client's government does not honor its own agreements?" The defense had no good answer. The trial's outcome was never really in doubt, but the process mattered. Humanity was not simply punishing the Xanthari. They were establishing a precedent, teaching the galaxy that human justice was thorough, transparent, and unavoidable. On the 14th day, the tribunal delivered its verdict. Guilty on all counts. Ambassador Krell and Commander Vex received life sentences in a human detention facility. The junior officers received lesser sentences, with possibilities for early release based on good behavior. But the sentences were only part of humanity's response. The same day the verdict was announced, Ambassador Rachel Stone addressed the Galactic Council from Sanctum Prime. "The trial of those responsible for the New Haven attack is concluded," she began. "Justice has been served. But humanity recognizes that justice alone does not prevent future conflicts. We are therefore proposing a new framework for galactic relations, one built on mutual defense and cooperative security." She showed a holographic display of a network of treaties and agreements. "We call it the Coalition for Mutual Protection. Any species that signs this agreement commits to 3 principles. First, mutual defense against unprovoked aggression. Second, transparent communication about military movements in border regions. Third, joint response to piracy and other threats to civilian populations." The proposal shocked the chamber. Several species immediately saw it for what it was: humanity offering to be the galaxy's protector, but on human terms. Thessarak studied the proposal carefully. This would represent a significant shift in galactic power. "You are asking species to align themselves with human interests." "We are asking species to align themselves with the principle that civilian populations should not be military targets," Rachel corrected. The New Haven attack showed that the current system does not adequately protect developing colonies. We offer an alternative. Over the following weeks, 12 species signed the coalition agreement. They were mostly smaller nations, species without significant military power, who saw humanity as a protector that would actually respond to threats. But among the signatories was also one major power, the Velen Dominion. We have observed humanity for 300 years, Tesseract explained to the council. They are young, aggressive, and sometimes reckless, but they are also loyal to their allies, creative in crisis and willing to sacrifice for causes they believe in. The galaxy is changing. We choose to change with it. The Xanthari Empire, humiliated by the trial and facing economic sanctions from coalition members, withdrew from several border regions. They did not surrender, but they recognized that the balance of power had shifted. Back on New Haven, life slowly returned to normal. The shelters were maintained but no longer needed. The garrison received reinforcements and better equipment. Governor Henry oversaw construction of a memorial to the defense of New Haven, a simple stone monument bearing the names of 3 civilians who died from heart attacks during the evacuation. Captain Linda stood before the monument during its dedication ceremony. Her dress uniform bore new decorations from the Colonial Defense Force. "We stood here," she told the assembled colonists, "because this is our home. We fought because no one else would fight for us. But we won because humans do not quit, do not surrender, and do not abandon each other." The galaxy learned that lesson here. Let us never forget why they needed to learn it. In orbit above New Haven, a new installation was being built. A full military starbase, complete with rapid response fleet elements and advanced sensor arrays. It would protect not just New Haven, but serve as a symbol to the entire sector that humanity protected its own. Director Paul watched the construction from his office on Titan, reviewing intelligence reports on the shifting galactic landscape. The Xanthari were quiet but rebuilding. 3 new species had applied to join the coalition. And most interestingly, several elder species were reaching out to establish closer diplomatic ties with humanity. He wrote a report for Admiral Karen. The New Haven incident has fundamentally changed humanity's position in galactic politics. We are no longer viewed as a developing species to be tested, but as an emerging power to be respected, feared, or courted. Recommend we maintain current posture of strength balanced with diplomacy. The elders warned them not to provoke us. We have proven why. Now we must prove we can be more than just warriors. Karen read the report and smiled. The galaxy had learned one lesson. Now it was time to teach them another. 6 months after the New Haven incident, the galaxy looked completely different. The Coalition for Mutual Protection had grown to 23 member species, representing almost a third of the galactic community. Human patrol groups working with coalition partners had eliminated 4 major pirate operations and solved 2 border disputes through talking rather than fighting. But not everyone was happy with the changes. Deep inside Xanthari Prime, in a secure underground chamber, High Commander Zek gathered the Empire's military leadership. The shame of New Haven and the trial still burned in their collective minds. "The humans have upset the natural order," Zek said angrily, his jaw clenched with barely controlled rage. "Species are supposed to rise through strength, through conquest, through showing superior force. These newcomers have turned protection into profit and defense into dominance. They mock everything the Empire stands for." General Thex, recently released from human custody after serving a reduced sentence in exchange for cooperation, spoke carefully. "High Commander, I have seen human capabilities with my own eyes. They are strong opponents, but more importantly, they think differently than we do. Where we see resources to claim, they see communities to protect. Where we see weakness to exploit, they see allies to cultivate." "You sound like you admire them," Zek said coldly. "I respect them," Thex corrected. "There is a difference, and I warn against underestimating them again. The New Haven raid was supposed to be simple. It resulted in the capture of an ambassador, the loss of 3 warships, and a complete change in galactic politics. If we fight humans again, we must fully understand what we are facing." Zek turned to his intelligence chief. "What is the status of Project Reclamation?" "On schedule, High Commander. We have identified 14 human colony worlds with minimal defenses. With the 5th Fleet deployed protecting coalition space, several of these colonies are essentially undefended. We have also made agreements with 6 non-aligned species to provide support in exchange for a share of claimed resources. And the timing? We can be ready to strike in 2 months. Simultaneous raids on all 14 targets. The humans cannot protect everything at once. We take what we need and withdraw before their fleets can respond. General Thex's face went pale. High Commander, this is madness. You are proposing to attack 14 human colonies at the same time. Do you understand what their response will be? Their response will be too late, Zek replied. By the time they mobilize, we will have taken what we want and they will face an impossible choice. Accept the new situation or start a total war that will devastate both our species. They will choose war. Thex said flatly. I have studied their history and observed their nature. Humans do not calculate costs and benefits the way we do. They calculate in principles and precedents. You attack their colonies, threaten their civilians, and they will burn the Empire to ashes to make their point. Then we will see who burns first. This meeting is over. Project Reclamation proceeds as planned. 2 months later, the simultaneous Xanthari raids began. It was the largest coordinated military operation the Empire had ever attempted, with 47 ships and 12,000 warriors. The targets were chosen carefully. New colonies far from major human populations, lightly defended and rich in resources. The first reports seemed to validate the plan. On 7 of the targeted worlds, Xanthari forces landed successfully, overwhelmed minimal resistance, and began taking resources. Civilians were rounded up and contained, infrastructure was seized, and collection began immediately. But on the other 7 worlds, something unexpected happened. The Xanthari forces found not just human defenders, but coalition partners. Felon defensive specialists had helped design underground fortifications. Qualian shield technology protected critical infrastructure. And on 3 worlds, non-human coalition military forces had already deployed, standing side by side with human defenders. Admiral Karen received the initial reports in her office at Earth Command. Her face stayed carefully neutral as she reviewed each incident. They coordinated 14 simultaneous attacks, her aide reported. 7 successful landings, 7 repelled. Estimated Xanthari forces committed. 12,000 warriors across 47 ships. What about our casualties? Preliminary reports show 200 military, 400 civilian on the worlds where they landed. The colonies with coalition support reported minimal losses. Karen closed her eyes briefly, feeling the weight of each number. Then she opened them, and her expression hardened into something observers would later describe as the moment humanity chose war. Get me Fleet Admiral Christopher, Admiral Lisa Carter of the 2nd Fleet, and Admiral George Mitchell of the 3rd. Also, I want Director Paul and Ambassador Rachel on the line. Wake up the Colonial Council. We have a war to plan. Within 18 hours, humanity's response began, but it was not what the Xanthari expected. 3 human fleets totaling 68 ships did not immediately attack Xanthari holdings. Instead, they deployed to protect every remaining human colony, reinforced coalition partner worlds, and established a blockade of every major hyperspace route leading into Xanthari space. At the same time, Director Paul activated every intelligence asset humanity had. Within 48 hours, human operatives had identified every one of the 6 species that provided support to the Xanthari raids. Ambassador Rachel's address to the Galactic Council was broadcast across every channel, translated into every language. 6 species, she began, her voice cold as space itself, chose to actively support an attack on human civilians. They did so believing that humanity's commitment to protecting our people was just political talk. They were wrong. She displayed images from the attacked colonies, frightened children being forced into holding areas, farmhouses burning, human defenders making final stands against overwhelming odds. Humanity offers these 6 species one opportunity to withdraw their support, publicly denounce the Xanthari actions, provide full intelligence cooperation regarding the attacks, and submit to coalition oversight of your military forces for 10 years. You have 72 hours to respond. Elder Thessarak watched the address with mixed feelings. He turned to his aides. The humans are not simply responding to an attack. They are restructuring the entire galactic order. They are forcing every species to choose, stand with humanity and the coalition, or face isolation and potential conflict. Will the 6 species comply? An aide asked. Some will not. And that is what the humans are counting on. They want to identify who their true enemies are, so they can deal with them permanently. The 72-hour deadline passed. 4 of the 6 species gave in, issuing public apologies and accepting coalition oversight. 2. The Draxian Confederacy and the Morthak clans refused. Humanity's response was measured and devastating. The Third Fleet blockaded Draxian space, cutting off all trade. The Second Fleet deployed to Morthak territory with a simple message. Any ship attempting to leave would be stopped and searched. Any weapons or military cargo would be taken, but the main response was reserved for the Xanthari Empire itself. Fleet Admiral Christopher's Fifth Fleet, reinforced with coalition vessels, prepared for the largest military operation in human history. The operation was named Righteous Fury, and its goal was not conquest but correction. Human forces would strike every military installation that supported the raids, capture every officer who participated, and prove beyond any doubt that attacking human civilians carried consequences beyond any calculation. High Commander Zek watched the human fleet movements with growing fear. They are not attacking our core worlds. They are isolating our military infrastructure. They are preparing to destroy our entire command structure. General Thek, standing beside him, nodded slowly. I warned you, High Commander. Humans do not fight to win territory. They fight to make points. And the point they are about to make is that attacking their civilians is a fatal mistake. Deploy all forces. Defend every installation. We will show them the Empire does not surrender. They do not want us to surrender, Thex replied quietly. They want us to understand. And if we do not, they will continue until we do, or until there is nothing left to defend. Director Paul stood in the observation deck of Earth Command, watching ships depart for the front lines. Behind him, Admiral Karen approached quietly. Do you think they understand yet? She asked. Do they finally comprehend what the elders tried to warn them about? Paul thought about the question carefully. Some do. The Velen understood from the beginning. The smaller species who joined the coalition understand. But the Xanthari, they are learning, but the lesson is not complete yet. They thought the warning was about our military power or our technology. But it was not. No, the warning was about our nature. Humans do not start fights, but we finish them. We do not seek conflict, but we do not avoid it when it finds us. And most importantly, we do not forget. The Xanthari attacked our civilians, and now every human in the galaxy knows their names, their faces, their worlds. That knowledge will outlast any treaty or peace agreement. We have marked them as those who threaten our families, and humans never forget who threatens their families. Karen nodded slowly. So what comes next? Next, we show them the other side of humanity. We show them we can